What's going on, guys? Waco from Revolution here with Claude and Serge from Armin Strom. Normally I should be at the Gorkin Festival with them. 2 years ago I was there listening to Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Her set was sick, right? Who's playing this year?
We had a couple of friends. We had a lot of German bands.
Right.
We had from Nigeria a couple of bands with American bands.
Nice, but I think it's probably hard to find another act that gets a crowd moving like Megan Thee Stallion.
It was a one-off. Yeah, it was a one-off.
That was
That's
great.
true.
So we're gonna go from a musical act that was dope to a watch that's even doper. This is the much-awaited Mirrored Force Resonance Act 2, I guess is the way to call it, in a smaller case size, 39 mm and just 9.5 mm in terms of thickness.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've had it on my wrist. The wearability of this watch is insanely dope. However, there's a lot more than just the size going on. Claude, take it away, bro. Tell us about the evolution.
Well, the evolution, it's a completely new caliber to Armin Strom. It took us 3 years to downsize the resonance to 39 millimeter. By a new caliber, I mean it's a new barrel. It's a completely new developed gear train. The winding system, everything had to be redesigned, reduced to be able to fit it into a 39 millimeter case. This is why it took us 3 years to downsize Masterpiece 1.
Well, you know what I noticed first of all is that orientation and the layout of the dial is completely different, right? So now you have the two balance wheels and the resonance clutch spring at 12 o'clock, which has got this great symmetry to it, then followed by two dials, two different time zones, which is very useful for those of us that like to travel. And then at the bottom is something very interesting. At 6 o'clock, you have something very cool there. Tell us about that.
At 6 o'clock, yes, the goal was to counterbalance the resonance animation. And this is all about kinetic art when it comes to Armin Strom. And we have the ratchet mechanism built on the dial side. It's a hand winding watch. The cool thing about hand winding is this click, 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 click when you wind up the crown. And to have the mechanism itself moving on the dial side makes it even more fascinating. That gives you a very nice animation.
Amazing. Serge, I would say that this watch is basically a representation of everything that you guys do. It's an embodiment of the brand, which is celebrating a little anniversary related to this as well. So tell us a little bit about that, man.
15 years, yeah. When Claude and I, when we started, child friends. Really, we are. Actually, we grew up in the same town, same city called Burgdorf. Armin Strom was active in Burgdorf. So we took over 15 years ago, just Armin Strom and two watchmakers, and we brought it where we are now. So we're fully equipped manufacturing, focusing on the tradition of open-worked timepieces. So it's still deep in our DNA to really show the movements, to do a lot of decorations. It's where the passion goes in, plus, of course, the innovation.
Well, it's funny, we were just having a conversation about will robotics and AI overtake the watch industry? But when you look at this, when you see how much manual craft goes into that, that human beings have spent sort of part of their finite life energy on creating something beautiful, you can't replace that, The two bridges that you have for the two balances that are radiused and then mirror polished and then angled on top of that, dude, that's sick. I mean, how important is it to you to keep the manual craft going?
Utmost important. I mean, it's it's the biggest team at Armin Strom. This is really the watchmakers working on the decoration of the parts.
That's awesome.
It's, as Claude said, it's the back side of the watch, the front side of each and every part. It's the tradition, it's the innovation, but we keep the tradition alive for sure. Yes.
Awesome. All right, Claude, let's talk a little bit about resonance. Let's go back in time, Breguet, anti-Janvier, Armin Strom. Talk us through the history of it. Tell us also about all the different variations you had of the clutch spring, because I've been to your manufacturer, and I guess one of the questions people would be like, oh, why is it in silicone? Well, actually, you made one in silicone, and this one was better. Talk us through, but.
Yeah, exactly. So my background is watchmaking. I graduated in watch restoration. When I graduated in watch restoration, I had the chance to work on a double pendulum clock from anti-Janvier. And back in those times, there was not a lot of research which you could do online. So I had to go through watchmakers' booth. I had to go through watchmakers and visited them which had experience in resonance. And what I learned from them is that the most important thing in resonance is that the two balance wheels share, there is an environment where they can share micro vibration. And our complication in resonance, the so-called resonance clutch spring, we could also say it's a built-for-purpose suspension bridge in between the two balance wheels. So the resonance clutch spring doesn't bring or take out any energy. It's just an environment which we create that the two balance wheels can communicate in between them, and they can synchronize.
That's so cool. So effectively what you guys are talking about is the fact that the two balance springs are interconnected using this clutch spring, and they can like enter into this acoustic principle through the vibrations which they share, correct?
Yes.
Now, a question for you. We've seen resonance that is in phase and we've seen resonance that is out of phase. Are you in phase or out of phase, sir?
Well, definitely all the resonance watches, they have to be in phase. But it's even in Armin Strom, we take a benefit. So we have one of them turning clockwise and the other one turning counterclockwise. And the biggest benefit of having them working in an opposite direction is that when it comes to a shock, it's more resistant because, and it also, they're gonna average each other out, because when you hit your watch, one balance wheel will slow down, the other one will speed up. And the fact that they're in a mirror position, they're gonna equalize each other out. And that is the most best mode of which you can have in a wristwatch.
The size of this is extraordinary. It's really interesting to me because we've been through an entire phase of like very expressive high complications, but very few of them today are in such a size that's so wearable. Serge, tell me, for you, how important was it to, was that the ultimate objective, to increase wearability, or is it more of a total sort of design element?
It's a bit the mix. We had, in 2018, we launched our first dual time as a Masterpiece 1, which is a big watch. It was a massive, large watch.
Yeah, I remember that. It's huge.
We all loved it. It's a great watch. It was really showcasing how resonance is working with two movements in one watch. We need two movements in one watch. And the ultimate goal for us is really to shrink it down and, yes, to make it more wearable. Make it more wearable, but with the same complication, the same philosophy of two time zones, resonance, two combined movements, just this whole connection with the clutch spring.
Well,
then the downsizing was also, to go from a big size just to a medium size would not be the same challenge. I'm going from a very big size to a very small size, and that was the challenge which we set, and said the goal was to really come below 40 millimeters. And now with 39, it's a very comfortable size.
It's phenomenal on the wrist, honestly. 10-year warranty. What's up with that, bro?
Well, all our new calibers are presented in the so-called first edition. The first edition is limited to 25 pieces, and it's also it's an added value to the first 25 watches.
It's absolutely phenomenal. Actually, it's a great gesture as well, because one of the things that people always say is, maybe I shouldn't buy the watch in the first year because I'm a little concerned that they haven't got it completely right yet. The fact that you're offering a 10-year warranty is basically like, hey bro, it's right.
Yeah.
Guys, it's absolutely phenomenal. One of my favorite watches this year. Well done, Claude.
Thank you,
You're the man.
Thank you,
Serge. Bravo, sir.
I appreciate
and
it.
hope to catch you again at this wonderful film festival, maybe with a watch like this on my wrist.
100%.
I don't know if Megan Thee Stallion will return, but let's hope that she does, because she was
exposure.
absolutely phenomenal. Okay, thank you guys. Peace.